Hi, Barry here, and as we're all locked down with this pandemic, there are going to be a lot of people who are having to work from home that probably aren't used to working from home, and I just wanted to use this video to give you a few tips and hints of what I've learned over the time that I've worked from a home office environment over the last 20 years or so. And I'm going to rattle through this, so I'm going to try and keep it as short and to the point as I can. And the first thing is, it's important to establish some space for yourself, a little area where you're going to be working from, and this area, it needs to be understood that this is the working area, understood by you and all of the family members. Okay, now it doesn't have to be permanent. I mean, it can be something where if you've got a laptop, you can fold it up and put it away. You know, if it's a room that is used, say, in the evenings, then you can just tidy away when you're finished. But you need this area so when you are working, you're in a work area. And I mean, it could be, if you've got a spare room, that's perfect. You can repurpose that quite easily, and you may be able to leave all your stuff all set up there. Because nobody is going to come around to stay when you're in a lockdown situation anyway. A dining room, if it's only used infrequently, is also the next best thing. If you have to, then when everybody's up and gone through to the house, you can use the bedroom. And also you can be a little bit creative with this. If you've got an outbuilding that has electricity and the phone line going to it and what have you, you could use that. I've got a friend who is an online marketer, and many of you watching this will probably know him, and he wanted to have a home office outside of the house, and decided that he would buy a really nice second-hand travelling caravan, and he gutted it out and made it into a really good office facility. So you can get creative with this stuff. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I'm just illustrating the fact that you can be creative with what you do. Okay, so when you've got your space, you're going to need probably some tech stuff in order to work from home a little bit easier. Now, if you work for a company, maybe they'll provide this for you, but otherwise you're going to need to provide it for yourself. And these two things I feel are quite important because the internet's all about communication, and you're going to be able to communicate with people easily. So a good webcam. The one I use is this one. I've used it for the last 5 years or so. It's out of stock at the moment, but I think you can still get it. There are probably ones that are better than this these days, or newer than this, but this is the one that I use, and it's absolutely brilliant. And like I say, I've been using it for 5 years, and it's a great webcam. So that is the one I use. In terms of microphone, I use this Rode microphone. Now this is a little bit pricey, but you can find them for less than £100. Not Rode perhaps, but other makes. And these are good microphones. But you need a good USB microphone to go in your computer or your laptop in order to get that quality of sound. So like I say, this is the brand that I liked. Before this one, I had a different brand, and I can't quite remember what it was now, but this is the one that I wanted, and I've been using it for the last 4 years, and it's brilliant. Okay, so going back then, it's a good idea if you're anywhere near your router to be able to plug into the Ethernet rather than using Wi-Fi. That way you get a much better signal, and you're going to need all the bandwidth you can get, because there's a lot more people streaming Netflix all day now than there was before. And you want to make sure that if people are on Wi-Fi in the house, that you're getting priority of the bandwidth yourself, and you'll get that if you plug into your router. If that's not possible, you may find that in your router there are settings that enable you to get priority or create a channel just for you. Okay, so this is something that you should do as well. Online meetings, you may find that you want to do online meetings. Yes, we all have probably Skype, although Skype's nowhere near as good as it used to be. Slack is another tool that people use. Actually, I've got it down on my computer here. Maybe you can't see that. But if you want to do quick meetings with people, Whereby is a really quick video meeting room where you can share a screen, you can see the other person, or you can just do an audio call with it if you want to. There's a chat box in there as well, so it requires no setting up. It's completely free for up to 4 people to join in. If you want more facilities, then you have to pay a small monthly fee, but the free version is perfectly okay. The only drawback is the quality is generally good of the meetings, but once you've closed a session, that's it. The session is closed. All the chat has gone, and everything else. The video. There's no record of the conversation or anything like that. If you want a professional meeting room, there's a company called Vectera that have them. You can have this connected to your online calendar, your Microsoft calendar, or your Google calendar, or your Apple calendar, or whatever. And people can schedule messages with you on there. You don't have to use that, but you can create rooms like that. You can also charge for meetings on there if you want to. This has the advantage of being video, audio, obviously. There's a built-in whiteboard, so you can draw on the whiteboard to show people stuff. You can do screen sharing. All the chat stays there. You can record the meeting so people can download it and look at the video or listen to it later. There's also co-browsing facilities, so if you're showing somebody how to do something, you can take hold of, control their browser and basically show them what to do, physically actually doing it for them. That's all built in, and the reason I'm telling you this, it's not expensive. It's about, I don't know, £100 a year or something, but at the moment they are extending their free version for anybody that gets hold of it up until the beginning of June. So you get to use it free, full featured up until then. Now, you may not need it after that if you can go back to your office or whatever, but if you do need it after that, like I say, it's about $8 or $10 a month, something like that, and it's a very, very good tool. But you can get it for free for the next 3 months or so, 2.5 months. So that might be worth taking advantage of. I'll put the links for these underneath this video anyway, so you can have a look for yourself. Okay, when you've done that, you need to establish some rules. So when you're working, you are working, and the problem is when you're online working and you're sat at a computer, people don't think you're working. Okay, it doesn't look like you're working, so they don't think you're working. Now, you're not going to get visitors when you're in a lockdown in a pandemic, but I've had visitors come around and expect me to stop doing what I'm doing, stop my work and break off because they don't think I'm working. They don't perceive me as being working. So you need to make sure that people do understand that you are working. That's your partner and spouse and your kids if they're living in the house with you. But you need to establish your own rules as well. So the best way of doing that is to map out a little timetable, okay? Do the important stuff first, like if you've got support requests or if somebody's asked you important questions, deal with that. Then check your primary email address, not your personal one, but your work one. Look for business messages if you use Skype or Slack, or if people have left messages on Facebook Messenger for you, check the business messages. And then if you've got things running and you need to check on stats or anything remotely, do that as well. This is the important stuff that you need to get done before anything else, okay? You also schedule in for yourself some breaks. I'm going to talk about breaks later on. And the other thing, I'm going to talk about this later on as well, is a finish time. So schedule what time of day you're going to stop work. That's what happens when you go out to work, and that shouldn't be any different if you're working from home. Okay, so moving on then, keeping focus. You need to limit distractions, okay? And so all of these things are distractions, okay? So social media, things like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, you need to limit your exposure to it, because if you don't, you will end up spending hours and hours and hours and get nothing done. Similarly, news. Now, it's very important. You want the news at the moment, because if you're watching this while we're still in this pandemic, you need to know what's going on. And that's fine, but you don't need it all the time. So schedule that to do in your breaks or after you're finished. And of course, non-business social calls and chats. It's very important to keep in contact with everybody, but try and schedule those in your breaks or later on in the day when you're not at work, with, inverted commas around. And this really kind of leads on to the last point about staying healthy. You need to take those breaks, and you need to not just sit there. Don't schedule your break to look at Facebook. Schedule your break to stand up and have a walk through to the next room, make yourself a cup of tea, talk to your family and everything. Sitting down is not good for you, staring at a screen all day. So you need to get up and have a walk into the next room. Go and have a look out the window. Go into the garden. Do what you can do for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I always stop at 12:30 our time, because that's the time on a radio station we listen to. They have a 20-minute quiz which we like to join in, and so I take half an hour of them. So quite often grab a sandwich and a cup of tea at the same time. So stand up, walk out away from what you're doing. Don't still sit at your screen. Actually remove yourself in those breaks. And that leads on, obviously, to take regular exercise. Now, that's probably not always possible. If you're in a lockdown, in some areas you're not allowed to go outside. If you haven't got a garden, then you're a bit stuck. But walking around the house, walk up and down the stairs, get a little bit of physical exercise every single day. And, you need to schedule it. Schedule it in. Maybe you're going to do some running on the spot, or some resistance training before you start work or something, but schedule it in. You also need to make time for the family. So you're not the only one that's at home. It's not like everybody's out at work or out at school. Everybody's in the same boat. So you need to make time to spend with the family as well. And this kind of leads on to the final point, which is know when to stop. Okay, when you finish work, whatever time it is, the big danger you see when your work is just a few meters away from you, you can be relaxing, and then suddenly occurs to you that you forgot to do something, or you didn't get around to doing it, and you suddenly remember it, and the temptation is to go back in, turn the computer back on, and start again. Now, if you do that, the chances are you'll still be there at midnight, sat there. Everybody will be pissed off with you. So it's better to schedule a time when you finish, and finish around that time. Close the computer down and say that's that for today. Unless there's a massive emergency, that's your finish time. That's you done for the day. And you've got to be kind of brutal with that as well. So hopefully that is all clear to you. I hope it's helped you in some way. And if you don't know me, my name is Barry Rogers, and thank you for visiting and having a look at this video. And stay safe, stay healthy, and bye for now.